to worry the most about. So now the other thing to know is that there are two types of 529 plans. There are what's called prepaid tuition plans and then traditional 529 college savings plans. Now, every state in the country has a 529 plan that they're sponsoring. And in fact, every state in the country sponsors a traditional 529 college savings plan. Now, that for us, for Washington, that's the Dream Ahead College Investment Plan, our newest plan. So Washington has had since 1998 the prepaid tuition plan, which is the Guaranteed Education Tuition Program, the GET program. Now, on the next slide, I'm going to talk about the differences between the two. But right here, I want you to know, what I want you to know most is that they are both 529 plans. And because of that, that means that tax advantages on both types of 529 plans, and the students can attend colleges, again, at eligible schools in the U.S. and abroad, and use their money for qualified educational expenses, no matter what type of 529 plan they might have, or even from where that they might have that. Now, the resource on this slide is for the College Savings Plan Network. This is the independent source of all 529 plans nationwide. And so why that's important is because they really are focused on making sure that people understand what 529 plans are and just how widespread the effort is. Every state in the country is bringing this information to families in their states and in their communities so that they're learning more and more about ways that they can be saving ahead of time. Okay.
Before you move on, Jackie, did you see the question in the chat box?
I'm going there now. Does the student loan pay down have a time limit? Only valid until? That's a good question. I have not heard that it had a time limit, but I will certainly find that out, and we'll make sure that we get an answer to you for that one. What I do know is that the limit is on the amount. I do know that one specifically. You can pay down up to $10,000 of student loan debt. So let me find the answer on the timeline, but in my limited recollection of it, I don't think that there is one, but I'll find out for sure. Now, let me make sure I didn't miss any other questions. Okay, I think it was just the one from David about that one, right? Okay, so now let's dive in to GET and Dream Ahead. Now, I mentioned in the previous slide, they're both 529 plans. So let's just look at GET first. Now, GET is a prepaid type of plan, and typically with prepaid plans, you're going to recognize that there are residency requirements and enrollment periods. Now, that doesn't make GET better or worse than the other type. It's just one of those unique features of prepaid plans. Now, the initial residency requirement is really just at the point of opening the account. The owner of the account or that student beneficiary has to be living in Washington at the time the GET account is opened. Now, they can move, the student can move, the owner can move. They don't have to be staying in the state of Washington. Now, the other part of that is enrollment period. So every year, there's a window when new GET accounts can be opened, which is November through May. So we're coming on the end of April here. I think we've got about 4 or 5 weeks before we're going to end our current enrollment period, and then we'll reopen again on November 1st. So that's the cycle that you'll notice with the GET program. Now, Dream Ahead and that type of 529 plan, they typically do not have residency requirements or enrollment periods. So that means anybody can open an account for a beneficiary living anywhere at any time. There's year-round enrollment. And again, the reasons why they are that they are just unique to the type of 529 plans that they are. They aren't really the things that make one better than or worse than the other. And in fact, we always encourage families to diversify in the way that they're thinking of saving, and having both types of 529 plans really adds value to the strategy in which families are saving and taking advantage of outcomes for when they need to pull that money out. Now, the most unique thing about the GET program continues to be the guarantee. So what our state legislature did when they created the GET program was that they wrote into law that the value of the GET account will always keep pace with the tuition growth of the highest priced Washington University. So UW and WSU are the two highest priced public universities in the state of Washington. So the value of the GET account is keeping pace with that. Now that means no matter where the student chooses to attend school, a public school, a private school, community, technical, or even an apprenticeship program, the value of the GET account is not dependent on where they go, but rather on how tuition is growing at our two public schools, and then the family can draw that money and pay towards expenses wherever the student is going to school. Now, the GET program works on this unit system, and units are just a form of measurement for the GET program. So every time when you open an account and you're putting money into an account, those dollars are always purchasing and accumulating units or even portions of units. Now, 100 units represents 1 year. It's also what the value of the account is. 100 units will always equal what the actual cost of 1 year of tuition and state mandated fees is of the University of Washington and Washington State University. That's how those are valued. Now on the Dream Ahead side, the value of the account is not based on there's no reference to units. You're not purchasing units, you're making an investment. Much like you have to picture Dream Ahead more like your retirement accounts. So you're picking how you want your money invested by looking at a variety of portfolios. You're making some decisions on your comfort level on how the money's invested, and the value of the account will be dependent on the investment performance. So there are times when tuition may outpace investment returns, and then there are other times when investment returns may outpace tuition growth. And so those are a reason why the idea of diversifying or doing a little bit of both types of plans is not a bad idea. Now, there's more details here, but I want to be mindful of time too. We're hitting 4:53. We got about 37 minutes, but I want to make sure that I leave room for Q&A too. So when you open a GET account, there are 2 payment plans. These are just ways in which you're making contributions. So one is called lump sum, the other is custom monthly. They're different types. Lump sum means that you can put in what you want whenever you want and accumulate your units it's more flexible. You're not doing anything, you're not expected to do anything on any particular time frame or schedule. Where the custom monthly plan is a very specific, customized monthly payment. So you're making decisions ahead of time on how many units you want to prepay, and then how many years do you need to make payments for it to be paid in full when your student needs to draw from it. Now, some people may do a combination of the two. And I want to give you an example of that because examples always work out better than just words, right? A real story. So when I first started working for the program, I was a young single mom and I had 2 boys. And they're now grown-ups, and I'm now a grandma. But at the time, so it was me and these 2 boys. And learning about the program and all that, I thought, well, I want to do this. And so I opened up accounts for my boys, and I did start lump sum plans for them. And I made a personal commitment to putting away at least $100 a month for each of my boys. Now, sometimes I was able to put more, and sometimes I could only I had to do less than that. And sometimes I didn't do anything at all. My family also contributed to the account as gifts because I told them this is important to me. So if you want to buy the kids gifts, how about putting a little bit of money in their college savings account and then buy them less toys and things like that. So my family did that. They helped me in that way. So my kids' account grew because I was contributing on it regularly, but I could choose my pattern in which I was doing that. Now, several years later, I actually did start a custom monthly plan for my youngest son because I had more time with him. And so I was making a regularly scheduled monthly payment, but my family was always contributing on birthdays and holidays and things like that in lump sum. And so it was the effort of both of those activities that helped grow the accounts for my 2 boys. Now, he joined the military, actually, the youngest one, and so we put it on pause and didn't have to draw that money right away. But coincidentally, when he got out of the military, he met his wife, they got married, they have kids. I was able to transfer money to my grandchildren that my son didn't need to use from his account anymore. So there's there are things that you can consider doing because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So that's how my storyline kind of played out. I now have 3 grandchildren. They all have GET accounts, and we're all doing our part. So